Welcome back and celebrate Who Dat Nation. Your Saints beat the Texans 30-28 in the losing streak in regular season openers over. Their first win since 2013, and it's thanks to Will Lutz, his career-long 58-yard field goal, which was called by Roman Harper before the game. He said that they were going to win because of Will Lutz.
That's right. Also playing a huge role tonight, Drew Brees. When Drew Brees comes to the podium, we're going to carry his post-game press conference live. That's expected to be in just a couple of minutes. Until then, I'll ask you all about Drew Brees. A slow first half, an interception in the red zone, but then he rallies, 2 touchdowns late. Taysom Hill, Traquan Smith. I don't know who to start. Both of you just jump in. Your thoughts on Brees' performance tonight, especially that last drive.
Well, you look at Drew, he's a constant professional. All he's going to really talk about is how he feels like he needs to improve in the red zone, that early interception. He's not going to stop harping on that. So he's going to want to improve by next week. And at the end of the day, when the game is on the line, there's no better quarterback that you'd want on your team or leading your team down there to try and get a game-winning field goal. And that's what Drew did tonight.
Jim?
I agree with Roman. You know, he's a veteran. He's been around long time in the league. He's been in these kind of situations before. He keeps his calm, he keeps his cool, and he gets the job done if he's got a little help, which he had tonight. So, I mean, you can't say enough about Drew Brees. Whatever he does. Does he play perfect games? No, he doesn't play perfect games. Kind of a rough start in the first half, but played a lot better in the second half.
And you can't say enough about the job the offensive line did, Roman. J.J. Watt didn't have a sack. They only gave up 1 sack, and I think you talked to me leading up to this game that Ryan Ramczyk would play a very big role in this.
Well, Ramczyk in his rookie year stepped up really big. He had some really big games, and he has never let the moment be too big for him since he's come into the league. I think he's played every down since he's got drafted in the first round. And you look up, and this guy's going to continue to perform at a high level. Everybody talked about J.J. Watt, how you had to block him, how he's going to affect this Saints offense, and he did not let that happen. I think Sean Payton did a great job of really mixing up the run to pass, making sure they did some movement-type throws and some other things to really have a game plan that we're not going to let a person that does not touch the ball beat us tonight. And they did a great job of doing that and nullifying J.J. Watt.
Do you think it was because Clowney wasn't here? You talked about that earlier this week. J.J. Watt had Jadeveon Clowney last year. Watt had 16 sacks, Clowney had 9. Do you think that the Texans maybe weren't as formidable because the Saints could pay closer attention to J.J. Watt?
Well, I think Clowney was an impact player. He wasn't just a good NFL player. He was on that special level, you know. He could make big plays. He could make something happen. He could get the key sack, do things like that. With him there, then they had to worry about him. That he and Watt were their 2 best defensive linemen. So with him there, I don't think they could concentrate totally on Watt. Now they could concentrate totally on Watt as far as the guy we have to block. We got to block this guy. We can't let him beat us. So I think it helped.
And speaking of the offensive line, Roman, it seemed like they really blocked better on that first drive, the opening drive of the second half. You saw Larry Warford second-level blocking to allow Latavius Murray to get that 30-yard touchdown. Do you feel like that kind of opened up the game when it came for the Saints offense in terms of the running attack?
Well, I think they had to really focus and hunker down on the run game. They need to get Latavius Murray going. Alvin Kamara, we need to get you going. We need to get these touches. And not only that, but getting Alvin Kamara in space, a little bit on the movement-type throws and getting him out the backfield quick. I think that was really the thing that got the momentum going. Then defensively, getting the turnover. You can't say how much that improved and just totally switched the whole game from offense, defense, the crowd getting into it. Next thing you know, it's a totally different team. And it's amazing to see what happens when the Saints force turnovers defensively, get their offense back on the ball, and the momentum loves nobody in football. That she's all over the place.
All right, Brees, 32 of 43, 370 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. One kind of strange stat here, and I hate to bring up bad stats on a night that ended on a high note. Last year, Drew Brees threw no interceptions in the red zone. Tonight, he threw his first interception in over a season in the red zone. Again, not a great first half, but a tremendous second half for the black and the gold. Look, we're a full-service post-game show.
What kind of stat is that?
It's just a stat. That's all it is. I know sometimes, Jim gets on me about stats sometimes. But it's just a stat. But I think that they rallied, obviously, big time, and he made clutch plays late when he needed to.
He sure did. I mean, they played a much better second half than they did the first half, both offensively and defensively. They made plays, whether it was a run, a big run, or pick up a first down, or stop on third, whatever it was, stop the team on third down. They made plays. They looked like a better football team to me the second half than they did the first half.
I'll follow Fletcher's stat up with a positive stat. Coming into the game, Drew Brees had 37 touchdowns on opening night. That's most in NFL history. Add 2 more to that, now he's 39.
Before you all decide to give more analysis. We just got a text message from the Saints, and they are telling us that Drew Brees is on his way to the podium. So before we hear more from Jim and Roman, we are going to hear from Drew Brees coming up momentarily, assuming that the Saints PR staff is correct and the text message that we got is true, that Drew Brees is coming to the podium again. Drew Brees with a very good night, a tremendous drive late in this game, a completion to Ted Ginn to set up the game-winning field goal. Will Lutz, a career-long 58-yarder. The Saints win 30-28. Let's listen to Drew Brees right now.
Very, very confident. Obviously, that was a long field goal, but I think it was a good thing that we had attempted one from pretty much that same spot, earlier in the game. So he had a look at it, and man, just a ton of confidence. I think for all of us, just to get back into that situation where we had a chance to win the game, I think we all felt like it was going to happen. And the minute you heard that ball go off his foot, it was a thundering kick. I think we all knew it was going through the uprights. They really, that whole drive, I think that, first of all, the challenge of that drive was 37 seconds, one timeout, and you want to try to save that timeout if at all possible. So, you need chunks, obviously, to put yourself in field goal range, and I felt like we did a really good job. We practiced that, and I think we felt like we knew exactly what we needed to do in order to give ourselves a chance to win. And big completion to Ted Ginn, clock it. Big completion to Mike, clock it, and then get up there and assess what they're doing. And I have the ability to get us into whatever play we need to get into that is going to put us in a position to win that game. And Ted did a great job all day long. Ted, he had 7 targets, 7 catches, over 100 yards, a couple really big plays, especially in the fourth quarter. Absolutely, yeah. It's a big difference as to your flexibility as an offense when you have a timeout, and then how a defense is going to defend you. If they know you have to get out of bounds, it becomes much easier for them to defend. So it's protect that timeout at all costs, and even though you're spiking it with 6 seconds left, we're okay. We can get the yardage we need to put ourselves in a position to kick the game winner. Thought he did a phenomenal job all game long. Really, that entire front did. I think early on, when you, after the first half, I think you looked at the numbers and felt like, man, we got to get back to run the ball a little bit more. Felt like we had put together some long drives, but we got in some big plays, and I think there was a lot of stuff in the passing game and not necessarily in the run. But I think we finished off with about 180 yards rushing. 7 yards of carry. Really both sides rushed. They rushed it really well too. But listen, it was just 2 really good teams going at it. 2 playoff caliber teams from a year ago, with really good offenses and really good defenses and a lot of explosive players all over the field, and just a battle all game long. Oh, he's a very good player. He's so versatile. He can throw the ball from the pocket. You see what happens when he's able to get out of the pocket. Obviously, he's a good athlete, so he can get yardage with his legs, but just his ability to create. You saw him create on some 3rd and longs, and they were able to get out of some tough situations because of his versatility. Well, I'm always looking for matchups, but because they are playing a bit more, conservative. I mean, listen, every defense plays it a little different, and you're going to see, typically you see something in that situation that you haven't seen all game long, and so you've got to be able to react on the fly, and everybody has to know that, listen, this may be your matchup, it might be your opportunity, just like it was on the first throw with Ted, the second throw with Mike, and then back to Ted. Those guys had the matchup, so those guys got the ball. Yeah, he's a stud, man. His that one run he made when we got backed up, I think after the holding call, was pretty impressive. In the fourth quarter, he made some great plays, really all game long, both in the run game and the passing game. So yeah, having a guy like him is good for me. Well, I saw Mike Thomas get a ton of attention, and they just let Taysom run free. You know, I felt like they did a good job, you know, all game long with the stuff that they were doing, and yet, you know, there were times where, you know, they give some attention to Mike, and that'll open up opportunities elsewhere for other people. And on that play, it just happened to be Taysom. Yeah, it's hard to believe, right? But yes, it's great to start the season off with a win, start in the positive. Obviously, we know the stretch of games we have coming up here. Here we are in a short week playing the Rams, right, in LA, and then up to Seattle and back here to Dallas on Sunday Night Football. So kind of the gauntlet here for the first quarter of the season. So we know what we're up against. We know we got to make improvements very, very quickly because we need to be playing our best football. I can't remember the last time we worked on that. You know, you work on a ton of 2-minute situations, but most of the time it's, hey, you know, you've got a minute 50 and one timeout and you need a touchdown, or, you know, maybe you have 50 seconds, 2 timeouts, and you need a field goal. Most of the time you don't have just 30 seconds, 37 seconds and 1 timeout and you need a field goal. But I think we do put ourselves in those situations a lot in practice, where you have to, you know, be very precise. You have to know how to manage the clock to put yourself in a position to win. He's got a big leg, which is great. Obviously, kicking the dome here too. You know, he's, I mean, his first game as a Saint was the opening game of 2016, where he attempted a 61-yarder. I think he had the leg for it against the Raiders. So I knew if we could just get him a little closer, it'd be even better. No, I still don't know what the deal was. Someone came up to me in the locker room and said that the league acknowledged that there was a mistake that was made, that 10 seconds should not have run off, that we should have had 31 seconds left. Instead, we only had 16. So, listen, that can't happen. I mean, that's a game changer, right? We end up having to kick a 58-yard field goal, whatever it was, attempt a 58-yarder. If we had 15 more seconds, are you kidding me? You know, we're going to get closer. So that's a game changer. That can't happen. Yeah. Well, I think they blew the ball dead, but he contributed. He did a great job. I'm really excited as we go along here too, because listen, we know what Mike can do, we know what Jared can do, we know what what Alvin can do, we know what Ted can do, and now these young players, and now, you know, Jared Cook having these opportunities, getting matchups, they're going to be big contributors in this offense as we move forward. Yeah. Business as usual, you know. I felt like he hung in there. He did a really good job. You know, he's got a great group around him. You know, they work so well together. But yeah, give him a lot of credit. You know, first game out to have, you know, a game and a win like this on Monday Night Football at home has got to mean something. All right, guys, thanks.
Live, local, late breaking. This is WDSU News at 10.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us. A wonderful night here for the Who Dat Nation as we celebrate a big win. The Saints beat the Houston Texans 30-28 in what was a big nail biter.
It was huge. It was exciting. The excitement doesn't stop now. Our Saints on 6 coverage continues right now.
That's right. This is our Cox Saints on 6 post-game coverage. I'm Fletcher Mackel alongside Sharif Ishak, former Saints team captain and Super Bowl champion Roman Harper, former Saints head coach Jim Mora. The Saints are victorious. Final score 30-28. The black and gold win for the first time, a season opener since 2013. It wasn't easy. It was thrilling. It was a nail biter. but nonetheless, a W is a W.
And it was thanks to Will Lutz, which leads us to our Law Tigers clutch play of the game. And no shocker who had the clutch play of the game. Clutch kick of the game, I guess you can call it here. Will Lutz boomed a career-long 58-yard field goal to give the Saints the 30-28 win. Some may say, hey, he could have knocked it in from 60 to 63 yards. Just a beautiful kick right down the middle. Your Law Tigers clutch play of the game, a beautiful one right there as the ball goes right down the middle. Saints win it, as Fletcher says, for their first regular season opening win since 2013. Jim, as you watched that kick, just a thing of beauty.
Yeah, everything was perfect about it. You know, the snap was right where it needed to be, and if that's off just a little bit, that could have screwed up the whole situation, the whole deal, and he would have missed it. The hole was good by Morstead, and the great kick. You know, I mean, it was a well-executed play all around.
As far as, look, Will Lutz hit it and said, when I hit it, I started celebrating. I knew. You played special teams early in your career. How exciting is it to know? Because that's not an easy kick. I mean, I know we're joking saying it would have been good from 65 or 67, but still the execution, like Coach Morris says, has to be perfect by everyone to make that work.
Yeah, it's the little nuances. And, you know, let's give Zach Wood some love here, the lowest rated player in Madden also. He's probably getting some boost on Tuesdays, just letting you know.
It's true, the long snapper.
Yes, but, you know, it takes everybody. I think Will kind of, you know, talked about that, how the snap had to be right. And then he talked about the little things that most kickers, I don't even understand, when he tells Morstead to lean the ball a little bit forward so it opens up the sweet spot and he's able to hit it a little bit longer. I don't even understand those words because I'm not a kicker. But, you know, I'm just so proud of this team. They went out there and did what they need to do to win. It's not always pretty, but it's so much easier to correct your mistakes after a win than ever it is after a loss.
That's right. Roman Harper, Jim Mora, the additional member of our Saints on 6 team, has been busy in the locker room. WDSU sports reporter Carly McCord has been talking to the players. Let's join her right now with one of the defensive stars of the game, Demario Davis. She talks to him about the breakdowns defensively that allowed the Texans to get back and potentially win this game. Carly?
Joined by Demario Davis post-win in the Saints locker room, and what a thriller it was. What was going through your mind when you saw Will Lutz go out on the field to attempt the field goal?
Easy money. He's made big kicks for us, you know, so I don't think nobody was worried about that. You know, we know we just needed a good snap, good hold, and a good kick, and it was going to be through the uprights, and he did it, you know, and so it was just good complimentary football. You got to give credit to the offense moving down. The offense moving down the field, you know, with 37 seconds. You would like for us defense to get off the field before that, but, I mean, it's complimentary football, and so you can be more proud of the team.
Let's talk about the defense in the second half. It seemed like things started to gel a little bit more going into the fourth quarter. What was the difference there? Was it just kind of breaking in?
Anytime you're able to get a turnover, you know, it changed the momentum, and we should have had 2. We had 1 call back, but anytime you're able to get turnovers, it kind of changed the momentum. And anytime you're able to get hits on the quarterback, you know, it kind of makes a big difference. And so you got to give them credit. They were still able to move the ball and to respond, even though we was hitting them with, you know, overwhelming them a little bit with pressure. But they kept responding and kept moving, but it was like a slugfest. And so definitely grateful to be able to get out there with a win.
Okay, is this type of game symbolism to what this season is going to be like?
Who knows? Who knows? Too early to tell, but I definitely like our resiliency. You know, no matter what adversity, no matter what happened in the game, we kept responding, and that's what you got to do to win this league.
Thank you, Demario. We appreciate it.
All right, thank you. God bless.
Guys, we'll go ahead and send it back to you.
All right, that is Carly McCord with linebacker Demario Davis as the Saints win it 30-28. They're 1-0. Next week they go to LA. We're going to have much more with Jim Moore, Fletcher Mackel, myself, and Roman Harper. We'll be right back.